Toby Summerfield. I'm a guitar player and bass player in Chicago. Specific to like experimental or avant-garde music, it just seemed like a very natural progression. Being a kid and liking sort of the discovery of new music, like hearing a new band or hearing a new kind of music for the first time, that sort of sense of novelty and discovery I think is really important to me. And then starting to realize how some music was all about that, about staying present and about being exclusive to that moment, where like other music you could play the same song over and over again and it would be about the same. I think that really was attractive to me, especially in improvised music. So I met a guitar like this one probably 10 years ago. It's a Gibson ES-150D, I believe. It might also be an ES-150DC. I've seen it marked both ways in the books. It's basically a 335 that's twice as thick. So it's like a 175 or any number of other big old Gibson boxes. What I know about these guitars is they were manufactured starting very late in 1968. So they're like model years 69, 70, and 71. Usually the ES-150 is the Charlie Christian guitar, which is a thinner body and generally smaller, and it's got one floating pickup, a much more traditional looking guitar. There are other guitars like this that are special order ES-335s, or really 330s, because there's no block of wood in the middle. You probably can't see in there, the camera. But yeah, it's actually hollow as opposed to 335s, which are like a 2x4 with two hollow wings on the sides. So it really resonates like almost like an acoustic. Enough that in some improvised settings I can be playing, and when it gets really quiet, I don't know if that's picking up or not, but the idea will maybe come across. That sort of stuff. And with a clarinet player or with a trumpet player, if we're getting quiet, I can get super quiet and still have it sound like something at all. Yeah, I guess they made it in 3 colors. They all had humbuckers. They all had this weird volume knob on the lower bout here, like a Gretsch or like a, I guess Gretsch are the ones that mostly do that, or some guilds do the same thing too. Which I guess would be, the idea is you can do this thing, it sort of fades up there, but who knows. So it's like a master volume and then pick up volumes in tone like a normal Gibson. It's a little superfluous knob. When I met the guitar, I was like, oh, that looks cool, I want to play that. So I picked it up, and when I put my hands on it, it just like, it sat in exactly the right spot. I put my right hand in the right spot and my left hand in the right spot, and it felt really natural. I'm a big, enormous dude, and so playing double bass feels really right because it's a big, enormous thing. And playing guitar has always felt a little bit like I was grabbing this instrument that was too small, like I could sort of pinch my arms in or whatever. And so this guitar felt really natural. And when I met it, I didn't have the bread to get it. And years go by, and I think it was the Wall Street Journal, but I could be mistaken. There was an article about things that outperformed the stock market in the early 2000s when the stock market went away for everybody. And one of the things they listed was collectible instruments. So, banks have been investing and corporations have been investing in orchestral instruments for 100 years, hundreds of years. Like nobody in an orchestra owns their violin that they perform on. Nobody owns a Stradivarius. All corporations all do. No musicians can afford them, which is kind of cool. But then it's also kind of like, it seems like it's in the wrong hands, So anyway, the collectible guitar market sort of exploded at that point, and so this guitar tripled in cost between my meeting it and falling in love with it and then trying to buy it. So I was visiting a friend in Des Moines, Iowa, and she said, we should go to my friend's guitar shop. And I was like, great. We're totally going to meet my guitar, and I'm not going to be able to do anything about it. She's like, oh no, there's no, that guitar's so weird, it's not gonna be there. So we walk in, and this guitar that I'm holding in my hands is hanging on the wall. I'm like, see, there it is. It sucks. Sucks for me. Get to meet it and not buy it. And I talked to the guy who owned the shop a little bit, and this guitar was his friend's guitar, and they had played together in a band for 40 years. And the guy hadn't played it in 10 years. He'd been playing smaller guitars. And he took it to the shop to sell under the stipulation that he not sell it to a collector. He had to sell it to somebody who was going to play it. And so he's standing there, he's like, man, I will work with you. I will take little payments. This guy will be happy that you buy it so long as you promise to play it. If you don't play it, you can't have it. If I hear that you're not playing it, I will come back and get it from you. You have to play it. It will not sit under your bed, does not go in a glass case, does not get marked up, sold again. You have to play it. So, great. And the day I got back from that trip, I got a call about like a recording session that would pay me to do it, which never happens. And it was almost enough to pay for the guitar. So it was like perfect synchronicity. That's one of my favorite tricks. The guy that had the guitar before me, the guy I bought it from, put on a shorter trapeze, which means that there's all this string back here, so I can do this for one, which is really fun. But then you can do all this fun string bending behind the bridge, which is normally reserved for up here on guitars, and then it's sort of it's gotten a bad rep from heavy metal guys.